Bonjour à tous and welcome back. This is Mac Plays on Mac, and we are now entering the second episode of this new city that we're building that is currently to be determined, named. So today's episode we are actually working on expanding our city, the population particularly, and our demand is mostly in suburban area. We are looking into a lot of demand for single houses, low density residents. So that's why right now you saw me, I'm building the pattern for the grid of our new developments. I'm looking at kind of something that we see a lot in Midwest of the USA. It's we have kind of a mile long squares, and then we divide this into smaller blocks. So this is not mile long as our smaller blocks, and I'm actually dividing them into much smaller entities as well, but I'm trying not to have a grid inside them. That's the goal. The goal is to make it more like nowadays, like a developer is gonna buy a big portion of land and then he's gonna develop all of this. So this is the idea. So all of this will be kind of like a residence. I hate HOAs, so I'm not gonna say HOA type of area, but this is the idea though. It's a small neighborhood and then a small neighborhood, and it's only gonna be housing over there. I'm gonna have quite a few parks around all of these as well, and as you can see, I'm trying to grow as much as possible, and I put some cul-de-sac on the corners so I can actually build more houses over there, but this one will need to be plopped. Now this block is a bit more complicated. It's not a full block at all, and there is a big curve and the highways over there, so I wanted to make it more like a roundabout in the center which has a lake in it, and then quite a few weird patterns that will be very identified for houses, and these houses will not be very big. This is like still city environment, so you're going to see that most of the houses have small lots. We're looking at 2 to 4 units for most of them in terms of depth. So because of what I did, also you can see that it's not going to be ideal to grow, but I still want to try to see how it's going to look in the future. So I'm using this amazing mod to be able to control which road are going to be able to be zoned. And I really like this mode. This is actually something that's very important and that helped me throughout this whole build. I'm making sure that none of the houses are actually based on the main road, and they are all concentrated towards the inside road, which is what I want. So that's perfect, nothing on the collector. So now as you see me, I'm choosing which houses I want to be on the corners. I'm trying to make sure this makes sense in terms of how dense it's going to be, and when I'm leaving corners like this, I'm just adding some park. Now the problem when you're growing houses or assets is just that sometimes it's not really a house that you want, and also the other issues that you can run into is some of the different zonings that you use don't have all of the depth or width that you actually require for this area, and that's what I can run into. So sometimes I have to switch. For example, if I had some southwest assets, sometimes they don't always suit everywhere because they don't go 5 or 6 deep, and I need to change with the UK one or the EE. But anyway, right now we went on to the elementary school and the high school, so finally I was able to have kids going into the school. So I'm kind of reworking all of this now because again, I'm liking how this city is turning out, and I think we're gonna keep working on it. One of the assets I didn't like out of the southwest, and that's pretty much the only one, is their high school. I love how big it is. It just doesn't make sense how there is no field in it, especially for such a big asset. Like, I wish they had something that was a bit better for the gymnasium, and the way it looks, I was a bit disappointed. So I'm using right now the Chinese one, and I'm repurposing all of the different surfaces. I'm making sure that we have better walkway all around, and I'm also creating an access to the back to go to the actual stadium. We're creating our own stadium in the back. I'm also adding a bunch of parking to the side and a swimming pool as well, because this is going to be the major high school for the area, and it's going to be like this for quite a while. So of course, pedestrian access is very important in a place like this, especially when I'm customizing most of the assets. And for example, right there, we are gonna delete the edge and all of the different benches, and we're actually gonna extend the edge to the new edge of the stadium and this pedestrian road. And the surface over there, I'm gonna change it to a whole manicured kind of area. I think it suits so much better. And here you go, that's pretty much it. We're gonna add now the edge on the other side as well to make it a whole asset, and honestly I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't custom much more high school, especially this new asset of the Chinese one, and I really like how it turns out. Now this elementary school is incredible because it actually can take a lot of kids in it, so it's incredible because that's one of the biggest issue with Cities Skyline 2 is how much room do you need for the elementary school, how much people need it, and so it's very cool that you can just extend it. So that's something we're going to extend likely in the future. Here I'm trying to make a bit more sense. I see like a lot of big gaps, so I'm trying to repurpose all of this. I mean, this is a dense area, this is in the heart of our downtown, so I want to make sure that the room is used as best as possible. Now, since we are growing our cities that much, we're gonna need a new source of power, and this is my first nuclear power plant that I'm ever using in this game, and it's crazy. I love how big is the asset. We're gonna customize it a bit, but something very funny is as soon as I plopped it, now I ran out of water, and it's crazy. So I actually troubleshoot that for quite a while. So I literally had to add a bunch of different pumps, and I also had to add some sewage, and like the whole thing took me quite a while to figure out. And it's very funny because actually it's not so much that I didn't add enough capacity or I needed more of what I had. I mean, I did need it more, but overall the main problem was I didn't add enough staff to properly staff them, and then all of them, their efficiency was very low, and that was one of the big problems. So you're gonna see that as now that's why I'm building so much residential, just because I need more people to work on all of these big infrastructure that I'm building right now. And it's crazy because that's actually very realistic and I love it. Like the nuclear plant as well, I'm never gonna be able to reach more than 30% right now of efficiency because it doesn't have the proper staff for it yet, and I'm really here for that. That's very cool. That's something very realistic. So that's why now you see me, I'm adding more and more room to grow some residential. And of course, since my demand is only into the low density housings, and let's keep it up, let's keep going, and let's just add more things. So each of the little like block I'm building, I'm really trying to come up with a different design on the actual inside design of the grid. I really like using the UK housing on the edges because they suit the area very well with their fences, on the back. It looks beautiful. I really like it. I think it's perfect for the back of the asset with the road over there. Look at this, how incredible it is. Yeah, and then I just deleted because I actually forgot to make sure that I only face the front, but this is how it's supposed to look. Look how incredible it looks. Okay, now what's next? So let's fill in this gap over here. That's perfect. Let's add a few houses here. Now here I want to make sure they don't go too close from the highway, and we're also gonna add a couple commercial area and some office, but that's for later. All right, now let's make sure that we have that recycling center here and that it actually fits perfectly, so I can add the assets, the upgrades if I need to. I know I'm struggling in terms of job availability, like there is already not enough worker, but it wants me to build more industrial, so that's what we're gonna do. We add a few more, and in the meantime I'm also creating a new super block of development, which again I'm trying to make sure it's quite dense, that's why like the streets are very close from each other, so there is actually like only a 3-unit depth of housing, and because of this I make sure that I can maximize the amount of people who lives in this neighborhood. Very close from the downtown, still, so let's make sure that it's actually a very dense area. Now here I want to make sure that each of the houses are very short walk from parks. I really think it's important for everybody to be able to walk in this neighborhood, even if there is not much shop. And later I'm gonna make sure also that transportation goes actually all the way to here, so nobody need to use a car if they don't need to go downtown. But that's gonna be for later, really. Right now I'm trying to figure out all of the different neighborhood layouts. Finally, I enabled the mod that was allowing me to put the water where I needed to go. So right there, I'm able to fill this hole and I make sure it goes all the way to the right level. So water management in City Skyline 2 is so much easier than City Skyline 1. I remember how hard it was to struggle, how struggling it was to be able to make sure that the water was not gonna overflow. I always had such a hard time. Here, it's very, very easy, very precise. So all around now, I'm gonna make sure that I have a key wall on the inside. I'm sad that I'm losing the grass part, but I do like the key wall though, so I'm gonna keep it like this. It's very lovely. And here I'm gonna do some retention pond as well on each side of the highway, because I feel like it's some dead space area and I kind of want to make it look like it's useful, especially when we're that close from the city center. Like, I really want to be able to explain why are we losing such a big amount of space. And yes, in the US it doesn't seem like it could be a lot of spaces, but technically when you compare it to housing and stuff like this, I mean, I could fit about 20 houses at least in each of these two areas. So that's why I think we should make it look like they are actually have a use right now. Something that I need also is to make sure that my road are in very good shape, and that's why I think this is a perfect area to add the road maintenance depot right there. Now let's make sure that it's connected by electricity and water, of course, so it can be at its best of its capacities. Now right there, I think it would be great to add some trees and some grass to make it more of an area that suit together very well, instead of just being a bunch of houses with different length. And here we're just going to complete all of these blocks over there. Perfect, just like this. I'm just now plopping everything and making sure that everything is tight as I need it to be. And I kind of like plopping a bit now, I'm not gonna lie. Like it gives me a bit more homogeneity, I guess. So yes and no, yes and no. We'll look into it more later, but I'm still gonna do a bit of mix of it. Now maybe here I went a bit too close from the road, I don't know, we'll see. Alright, it's time to expand again. Let's build another super block. This one is, I'm pretty sure, one of the biggest one. I want to make something more grand. Like you're gonna see, it's gonna be pretty cool. We are gonna have the road all the way here. I'm trying to see now if I can customize my road using the road tool, because I don't really think that this road suit the suburban side, and I'm trying to see how can I improve it. Like, there is this beautiful road that we had in City Skyline 1. Of course you had to download it, but it was called the suburban road, you know, and you had like some grass, and then the walkway were on the outside of the grass, and then there was a bit more grass after that to the assets. And I really like this. That would be perfect for suburbia, but unfortunately I cannot seem to be able to build it here. I'm gonna look more into the road tools assets that you can download, and we'll see if I can find the one I want. Again here, so we're gonna go with some 3 or 2 unit depth assets, and that's gonna go pretty much all around on these borders, and I'm keeping the center and the entryways free of any housing right now, because I think this will be perfect for, again, a park and some amenities, because this neighborhood needs to have its own amenities. Now let's take a look at what we're actually going to add for amenities. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be something very grand. I mixed a bunch of different development here. You can see some of the Eastern European that I'm actually getting rid of. I'm not a big fan of it for this area. And I also have the American waterfront housing all on the edge, and I think these 4 unit depth assets don't really suit here. So we are actually gonna get rid of them in just a few moments, and we're gonna replace them with the European one, which actually gonna have the fences on the back, and it's gonna make a wall all around, and I think it's gonna work perfectly. Now let's add some parking lot here and a pool for the area. I think that's perfect amenities, and I'm trying to see which kind of parking I can add on here, because I want to add also a giant park, and I'm thinking, should I go with the road with parking included or with these assets over there? And I think the road will work perfectly, and I wanted to add two roads next to each other. Unfortunately, they merge into each other, and it kind of limits me into what I can do. So I'm looking into keeping it like this for now, but I'm not 100% satisfied with this. Now I'm seeing this is the asset I want to add. Unfortunately, it's too big. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change all of the different roads around. Instead of being the regular road we had with 2 units, they're going to be the alleyway with only 1 unit. Now the problem is my parking, you see. I'm struggling to fit the one I wanted, so I'm going to have to go with the one way and parking on both sides, unfortunately. I wish I could put more parking closer to each other, because now there's an odd gap that I filled with a walkway, but still a bit odd. I'm not a big fan of it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to replace all of the bordering road housing. I'm going to change them with the actual European waterfront. But yeah, that's pretty much what we have right now. Our city is definitely getting bigger and bigger in terms of sizes. I mean, look at how big all of this is. Let's see what we're gonna do now. So yeah, that's just what I was talking about. I love this wall over there bordering. It gives a much better border between the outside road and the inside of the development. So therefore, I'm changing all of them. And now I'm just going to do the same as I did into the other places. I'm going to add the parks at each of the places where the house don't fit. Okay, it's time to work on that nuclear plant. So now I am not a nuclear engineer. I have no knowledge about nuclear plant whatsoever. So I kind of like that this asset is not like in the first city Skyline. It's a big asset. It looks much more realistic. I tried to look a bit on Google Map how nuclear plant look, and that's actually why I also built it. Like, that's the knowledge I had. Like, nuclear plants need a bunch of water access, you know, fresh water access. That's why it's right next to the river. So now I have it a bit higher than expected, but that's a good thing as well, because in case of if there is a flood, this is actually going to be protected for that. So from natural disaster, it will be at least protected because it's much higher. Now I'm going to change all of the surfaces. I looked at one of the nuclear plants in Florida, and that's not the one that's in Miami, but more the one that's in St. Lucie, Port Lucie, and it's usually like concrete, a bunch of concrete, and there is a few retention ponds. So that's what we're gonna build right now. I'm thinking that this area over there is a very cool area to put some parking. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the decals that I used to have. I don't have the decals about like making it old looking or very used with tire marks, you know, so that's something I'm gonna change later. But here I was thinking it's very suiting. People are gonna criticize that I put a solar panel on top of the parking lot, but I think it's very, very cool. It's very futuristic thought, and that's what I want this to look like. Now I'm adding just some random stuff here to make it more filled instead of just as empty as it was. And also, as you see, like I'm putting this kind of a pump right there, water pump, and this is just to have it so like he has a water access. I mean, this is not going to be useful in terms of actually useful. This is more for to make it look like he's pumping water straight from the river, just like this. And I'm building a 3 retention pond over here. Now we're starting with this one. I'm gonna have another one a bit smaller next to it, and I'm trying to make it look like using these pipes, it's actually connected straight to the retention pond. The problem is I don't have as many choices in terms of assets that I can use to do this, so that's the best I'm coming up with right now. I will try to find something better later, hopefully when we are able to get more access to the actual Paradox mod assets. I will be able to find the right thing, but right now I think it does a job. And especially this next part, I really like how actually I'm gonna make them connect between each other. I'm gonna make it look like there is a different pipe going through and inside. just like this, and it looks like they're connected even if actually there is strictly nothing happening. It's just for cosmetic. And now we're gonna take a look at that water station that we built earlier, that big station, and I think it's just missing one thing to unify all of this. I'm just gonna add a surface, and I kind of like this. I wanted to put something like a bit like dirty, sandy and stuff like this, but I found this oil surface, and I think that's what fits best. Alright, let's make sure that there's actually no trees into this retention pond, and I'm pretty sure this is about to be the end of the episode. So let's take a look at everything we accomplished today, because we did a lot of expansion. With me all the way here. Now there is something incredible happening. For their 10th anniversary, they actually are releasing a new asset patch, and there are going to be a couple more assets. That's going to be incredible. 3 different packs, but also a big patch, and they're going to actually fix a lot of bugs. I couldn't try it yet, but I'm very hopeful and excited. It's going to be amazing. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.